Good morning. Welcome to the Breakfast Club. This is Joe Shoup. And once again, I just want to announce that this call is recorded earlier than its scheduled time. So at any time, probably after 6 a.m. Pacific or 9 Eastern, you probably could access this. However, you will get an email probably within a half hour after the broadcast scheduled time, which happens to be 12 noon Eastern. You will get a notice and the replay link. Otherwise, actually, if you wanted to try to access it earlier, you could go to youtube.com. You could search out Joseph Shoup in two names and then click my account, and you will see the broadcast there without waiting for the replay. That could happen. So if you choose to do it that way, that's great. So I hope that helps. So we're going to get right underway. Last week, I talked about a few people who took the networking communication class, and we're going to have them on next week. We've already scheduled that, and a few other people probably, mainly because who took the class, and I wanted you to hear their perspective and where they are now after taking the class. So I want to bring a few things up here. I'm going to give you a little preview of the second part of the class. Why? Because, well, you know, we always talk about communication here. It's so important to communicate, to learn to communicate your message when you are looking to build your business. And that's what all businesses do. They have a message, several messages, where they communicate with their audience. And of course, the first thing you have to do, as we spoke last week, is you have to have an audience to begin with. So you have to build a database. And then you have to have a management tool. If you're sophisticated enough to keep track of everything on your own, that's great. But I recommend that you have a contact manager, a management device that keeps track of your business, your contacts, the letters you've sent, the responses that you've received. And so that's the second thing you need. And the third thing that you need is you need to learn how to communicate with those people. Anyone telling you that you can build this through social media and not talk to anybody just doesn't have a clue. You've got to be able to communicate a message. You've got to be able to verbally handle the phone call. And that's what we teach, because over the years, that's not been taught effectively anyway by most companies. So what I wanted to do is share my screen. I want to take you to part 2 of the communication class, the very end of it, because what it does is covers business management, how to set up your business, what your business should look like, and what you should be. So let's go to that now. Let me share my screen a little bit. See if I can bring that up for us. And we should be at the screen share right now. So what you should be seeing now is welcome back to part 2, the networking communication class, changing the way you think. And this second part, was the plan. It was the second day of the class, and we did a slight review. Then we talked about that second interview, what you should be saying to that prospect when you've made contact with them, and then how you should be bringing on a director, how you introduce the director, what the director should be saying. That director is, you'll see that in a minute, someone who you bring a person to, and they discuss, they do an interview, and then they answer questions. And their basic job is to get that person registered with your company. And then we talked about business basics. And this is what we're going to be talking about today. So let's take a look at, first of all, the real problem in all of business, probably in most relationships, is communication. And as George Bernard Shaw says, the single biggest problem with communication is the illusion that it has taken place. And as you can see by that diagram, it's not taking place here. One person is paying attention to something totally different than what's being said. Kind of a cute cartoon, but it's the reality of communication is people aren't paying attention to what's being said. Just because you're talking doesn't mean the other person is listening. So you have to be aware of that and learn techniques. And as I tell people in this class, it really, what Einstein always said was education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. And that's what we try to get you to do in this class, is to think. Because it's not necessarily about all the scripts. Yes, it's important that you learn dialogue, just like an actor learns his lines. You need to learn your lines. But it's also about the thinking here and understanding your role when you're communicating with someone. We talk about telephone techniques. If you don't know these techniques, you're probably afraid to talk on the telephone, or afraid to, or hesitant to speak to prospects. And in the class, we teach techniques that overcome that. And most importantly, learning and understanding what the 5 parts of every communication should be. And the fact that you understand where you are in that communication. What part of the dialogue are you involved in when you're speaking to someone? Are you able to get back to your objective? So that's taught in the class. And here's an important thing. If you have that all down and you take your person to someone and you know your person's excited, and you're excited, and you bring them over to what I call a director, do they know their job? Do they know what they should be doing? Most people bring someone else onto the phone not realizing what's going to take place next. And most of the time, in my experience, has been a disaster. Many of the times, I wished I never would have taken the person over there because they ruined it, because they didn't know what they were doing. They thought their job was to talk about life and how wonderful it is in where they live, and try to convince the person that they're successful and you should join us. And that's not the objective. It shouldn't be. One of the elements of our business is using a 3-way telephone call in order to have your prospect speak to someone in your organization. We refer to that person as a director. The function of the director is to interview the prospect, answer any questions he or she may have. In addition, the director's job is to direct the prospect to registration with your company. That has to be set straight. So let's get into the business part of it. Let's assume all of that's correct. You know exactly how to do all this. The question is, do you know how to set your business up? And here I'm going to direct this to the owners of many of these companies. Do they know how to set up businesses? Because in my experience, many of the people who have started businesses have no clue how to run a professional, well-oiled machine. They don't even know the elements of it. They think it's raising money and throwing your company out there and people pre-signing up and all of a sudden, launching the company and mistakes being made all over the place. Comp plan mistakes, product mistakes, service mistakes, customer service mistakes, not having the right people in place, not answering emails, all this stuff that goes on with companies. And it's widespread. It's not just one company. It's widespread. Happens a lot until you get a professional business owner who knows what they're doing. And you'll see what I mean when we get towards the end of it. Now, the real question is, are you ready to establish and plan your strategy? Do you have a strategy? Have you planned it? Have you written it out? Has your company done that? If you can't see where you're going, you surely aren't going to get there. And that's why you need a business plan, a clear, convincing, tangible roadmap that will attract the people you're looking for and help them be successful. So here are the elements of any sound business plan. First of all, products and services have to move from manufacturer to consumer for anyone to be paid, including the company. Money is made when you get in the middle of transactions. We're all causing transactions in one way or another, either by recruiting someone who does a transaction, you're still involved with that, or you personally do it. You either register someone, recruit someone, or you're selling a product. You're involved in the transactions somewhere. Usually, the more you're involved, the heavier the pay. So what you have to do in our business is set up new locations, new people. In other words, recruiting. Companies called influencing and building their communities and building their database. The truth is you have to speak to people, find people who are interested in managing a business from home. That's what you have to find. If you want to build an organization of people, I call them people locations. It's a new store. It's a new place where transactions can take place. So your immediate goals, learn how to move a few of your products. If you have a product company, whether it's an educational product, a tangible, nutritional company, doesn't matter. Learn how to get some customers with that, but learn how to do it right. And secondly, you have to find or locate people who are interested in operating a successful business from home. That's the two elements. That's the foundation of building your business. So what does it take to establish and operate a successful business? Well, first of all, you have to tell people that you're actually in business. And most of the time, people do that through newspapers, radio, flyers, television, word of mouth, which is what we do, or a marketing system. And I'm using a company called iWebAtool, a business owner who knows what he's doing. We're going to have him on the call in the next 2 weeks. Show you what that company is all about and why they're an effective tool to use. So secondly, you have to be prepared to communicate verbally with your potential customer or affiliate. And you have to decide whether or not that person is right for your business. Is he or she really a candidate? It's not the other way around. I mean, it's partially that. Yeah, we find the interested party. But are you really operating your business under the premise that you are looking for the right person as well? Do you dismiss people at times professionally when you realize there's either no interest or you don't have an interest in working with that person? Do you know how to do that? That's part of the communication class. So let's talk about the business basics, all right? People have ideas. People want to start companies that have this idea and how it's going to run and so on. So they develop a business plan, or at least they should. But I think I'm going to show you that most of these companies have not done that. That's why they struggle in the beginning. Ideas, you create a business plan, you implement that business plan, and you create success. And that means if you do this correctly, you create success for your people. So here's the basics of a business plan. Marketing. Marketing is what you do to get your information in front of people. You have to actually tell people that there is a business and what function you'd like them to be part of. What would you like them to be doing? Customer, affiliate, partner? So marketing is a big deal. Like I told you, we use a marketing tool. Many companies do. Some have their own. My opinion is you find a well-oiled machine that's already up and running. So you have these ideas in your business plan, as we talked about. But are they setting goals? Does your company owner have goals? Do they have a business plan and have goals? Do they present them to you? Did they set them out there and say, this is what our goal is for the month? And are they monitoring that and showing you when they're hitting their targets? Doubt it. Business plan and business actually has risks. We know that. Mostly financial risk. But are you weighing those out? In that business plan, you have to weigh out those risks. You must have a strategy, and you must have the money in place to run your business. Even if you're joining a company as an affiliate, you still need these particular segments or elements in place to have a business. And yes, finance is part of that. Do you have the money to enter a company, to buy the product, to do some marketing, to buy the tools? It takes money. How to get started with a business plan. And you probably should tell if you're close enough to the owners of these companies, are they doing this? Do we have a description of the company and what it is that you do? And that goes for you as well. You started a company, independent contractor, Every one of these companies you're working with, you're an independent contractor. So that means you need a business plan. You need a strategy. And you should write yourself at least a one-line description of your company and describe what it is that you do. If it is a company where you have a product and that's what you're doing is selling product, then you write it down. But to build, expand, grow your business, you need to understand that what your description should be about finding people. How much capital will you need to operate your business? You need capital somewhere along the way. Nothing's free in life. Companies that offer free things, that's fine to have you join the company for free. That's fine. But it's going to take some money, either to buy product, market, buy lists, whatever it is that you do, you still need to know how much capital you're going to need to operate your business. And you should probably push that out for at least 6 months, more likely a year or two, to show, do I have enough capital to run this? Now, this is really key. And I suspect that most people don't know what this really means. What are your risk mitigating milestones? I'm going to show you that in a minute. And I'm going to show you that most companies do not even understand that. And therefore, their business is set up improperly right from the beginning. Why are you uniquely qualified to succeed? These things have to be incorporated in your business plan. These need to be written down, a clear, concise picture, written down, what you want to achieve, how you want to get there. Why are you qualified in your business? If you're going to start a business, meaning independent, work with a company, why are you qualified to do it? What are your qualifications to do that? When somebody asks me, when I tell them, I don't know if you're really qualified or we're looking for people, qualified people, they say, Joe, what do you mean qualified? My answer is, well, I'm looking for people who are honest, ambitious, and work well with others. That qualifies me to work for companies. I also have communication skills, another qualification. And if you don't have those, then you need to learn them. So that's how you get started. So you take the time to write your business plan. Go back over this recording and write those steps down and put them. No, look, I promise you, if you're not doing that, you're probably not going to succeed if you don't have the roadmap in front of you. Well, we're going to look at some of the elements of that roadmap, but let's take a look at this. We sometimes forget what brings about success in our business. Besides having strong goals, a commitment to succeed, and a passion for your products and opportunity, you still need to take good old-fashioned action. All that said, and you learned it, and you think it's wonderful, and you've been to the class, and it's changing your life, it still takes action. We're going to show you some action steps here, things you should be doing. How many times have you said, I wish my business was growing faster? Let me remind you that you have complete control over how fast or slow you grow, right? It's not the growth of your business that's the key. It's your own personal growth as a person working the business that will determine the speed of your business growth. So we're going to show you a checklist here. But think about that for a minute. If you're not committed to growing, if you're not getting better at communicating, if you're not getting better at organization, not going to make it. Chances are slim to none. And that's why we offer these types of things. That's why we have the Breakfast Club, to make people aware of that. Let's take a look at these 7 action steps. How many hours a day or week do you devote to your business? Pencil them in on your calendar. Now, what does that really mean? Does it mean you have to, if you're not working 15 hours, you can't be successful? No. What are you doing during those 15 hours? So first, how many hours? So if you say, look, I work a full-time job and I can only put 3 hours a week in this, you need to write down that you have going to put 3 hours, and you need to write down the days and times you're going to do that. That's step 1. That's the good old-fashioned action, right? So that's the plan on paper. You're going to do it. During that time, are you doing busy work or actually talking to new prospects and or your downline? Are you conducting 3-ways? Or are you talking to a prospect and bringing them to a 3-way call? If you've built a business before without using a three-way call, that's fine. If you know what you're supposed to be talking about. But in the class, we talk about understanding your role. Most people don't know who they are when they make a phone call. And I know some of you listening to this have taken the class and you're smiling because the other people don't know what that even means. Who are you when you're making that phone call? Do you have a daily goal? How many people you're going to talk to about your product or opportunity? And do you adhere to it? I had somebody ask me yesterday, how many hours do you think so many hours a week will be successful? And I said, I don't know. It depends on what you're going to do in those hours. Are you talking about shuffling papers? Are you talking about reading? Are you talking about educating yourself? Or are you talking about looking at a list of people, calling those people up, communicating through some media form, making a contact? Is that the action you're talking about? Is that the activity we're talking about here? If that's the activity, then I can't give you a definite answer, but what I can tell you is you're going to be successful, more of a chance to be successful and quicker than anybody else. You have to take that action on a regular basis. You have to have that plan in place to make that phone call, that connection. And what you should be thinking about is how many contacts or connections are you making every day? That doesn't mean how many emails did you send. That doesn't mean how many posts you put out there. It doesn't mean how many phone calls you've made. It means how many people did you talk to that said, yes, I want to look at your company. Or yes, I've already looked and you want to take them over to a three-way. How many times a day does that happen? On the days that you're working? Because if that's not happening, there's really no action here. Are you really carrying a list of names? In other words, are you building a database? Are you adding somebody to your list every single day? People that you think about, writing down, getting their email, sending them through the contact manager, a capture page. Are you doing that? How many appointments do you set up weekly following any type of preliminary introduction? How many of those appointments are actually, do you have on the books and say, oh, I got an appointment for a three-way tomorrow, I'm helping so-and-so, or I have a follow-up tomorrow. They're called appointments. The telephone, the steps to the telephone communication conversation is introduction, reason I called, what I want you to do, set an appointment, and tie it down. So we're in the business of making appointments, like any other professional person. How many appointments? Are you attending conference calls, like here at the Breakfast Club, and your company meetings, visiting your back office and updates on a regular basis? Are you doing it? Now, that's not action. I want to tell you that is one of the steps that you have to do, but that is not an action that's going to find you a new person. 90% of your time has to be spent on finding a new person over and over and over again until your organization is big enough that you don't have to do that anymore because it's doing it on its own. Duplication. Are you working with your first, second, third, and fourth levels? Now, that's for people that have those levels, right? Now, those things are key to starting your business. If you haven't started your business, there's a good way to start. Understanding what it is you need to do. Understanding it mentally, writing it down on paper, and then following with good old-fashioned action. Right? Action. Look, people can tell you something and you'll hear it, and they can show it to you and you'll see it. But until you get involved, you're not going to understand it. That's why when people take the communication class, they hear us talking about it and they see it and so on. But until they take it and they go, oh my gosh, after taking it, I see what you mean now. Now I get it. So it's time to take action for those of you that want to build the business. So here's the thing. I have 3 other documents I want to show you, but I'm not going to do it today. It is about the mitigating circumstances. It's the things that you need to do. I'm going to show them to you briefly, hopefully. See if I can get over to those documents right now. Risk mitigating milestones is really what they are. And what is that risk mitigating milestone? I said this to you earlier. Does your company actually have this plan? It's an event that when complete, or events that when completed make your company more likely to succeed. And these are the 5 keys. Building a board of advisors. How many companies did you belong to or now have a board of advisors? One of the easiest risk mitigating milestones is to accomplish is building a board of directors. Your advisory board is typically comprised of industry experts and other professionals whose advice and connections can help you grow the business. This is for the company, and it might be for you as well. But a company needs to understand what these mitigating milestones are. How about beta customers, testing your product before you get it to the marketplace? Let me tell you something. I didn't make this up. This is what all companies do to become successful, all of them. You secure your customers. In other words, you test your product in the marketplace for months to see if it's working properly. Are your comp plans effective? Are they working? Do they make sense? You forge partnerships, which is what we do with marketing companies. In our business, contact managers are forging partnerships. And in fact, the fellow who runs iWebAtool and owns it has forged partnerships with, I can't tell you how many, 20, 30 other companies. Smart man, smart businessman, right? Secure publicity. How are you going to possibly be secure in your business if you don't have any publicity? You don't tell people. You don't have the media telling people. And then, of course, you generate revenue. Look, we're going to cover this in detail. And here's the thing. 3 ways to find perfect advisory board. We're going to cover that. Now, that's for yourself, too. Not just your company, but they should be doing this too. Look, here's what it says. Most entrepreneurs use the me, myself, and I approach to corporate governance. I am the sole shareholder. I vote myself to be the sole board member. As a board member, I hire myself to be CEO. And this certainly provides the ultimate in control. But entrepreneurs taking this approach are missing out on the benefits of the Fortune 500 counterparts with their own boards are using to their advantage. If Warren Buffett and Steve Jobs weren't skilled enough to make decisions entirely on their own, what makes you think you are? Let me think about that for a minute. That's one of the statements here. I'm going to leave you with that. Evaluate yourself. Evaluate your company. Are they truly building a business for you? Are you building your own business? And I'll leave you with that. We need to take action in business to make business work. So today, I hope that helps you. I hope you have a great day. We are going to do a follow-up on this probably next week, maybe sooner. I'll have another one, but we're going to cover how to build a business effectively, how to get your plan and put your plan into action. So with that, thank you for being here. This is Joe Shoup here at the Breakfast Club, and we'll see you as we always do every Tuesday, and we'll look forward to seeing you again. Hope you have a great day, everybody. Thank you.